Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another 12 by 12 layout for the Confessions of a Paper Addict cut files design team, and I'm using this gorgeous mermaid cut file, and she is absolutely beautiful. I've cut her out of navy cardstock, as you can see, and I've kept her little face, I guess what is the negative space on the cut file, because that will make it easier for me to put her eyes and nose and mouth back a bit later. I'm going to be scrapping this photo of my daughter. This was when she was only still quite little, and we were away for a few days, and we'd gone down to the hotel pool, and she fell fast asleep before we even made it into the water. So I was just showing you there her little swimmers. They have a mermaid scale print on them. It's kind of hard to see, but oh, they're so cute. This paper pad I'm using is from Rosie Studio. It's the Make a Splash, I think it is, collection. And I'm using that pink scale paper because it just matches her little swimmers perfectly. And I'm just going to back that paper on a bit of white cardstock because it is on the thinner side. So I chose this photo and this cut file specifically to go together, as you can see, because the mermaid has her eyes closed and she has her arms up, and she just reminded me so much of my beautiful little baby girl there. So pretty. Okay, I'm going to trim the photo down. Just want to cut off all that unnecessary stuff. She's just laying in a pram there. So we got all ready and all in our swimmers and got down to the pool, and she was fast asleep by the time we got there. So yeah. There we go. And that is pretty much where the photo ends up going. So now I'm just looking through some papers to back my mermaid with, and I pulled out this Kaiser Craft paper pad because I knew it had a lot of pinks in it, and I just wanted to find a peachy tone for her skin, and this one is perfect. So I'm just going to roughly cut this out to where I want it, and I'm going to start backing my cut file. I'm just going to do the glue and trim method. So I'm just putting a thin line of glue all the way around the outside edge of the cut file. Then I'm going to plop her down on the paper and take my little scissors and just trim all the excess bits off. Go. I'm just going to glue down her arm and head. I'm just trying to get her situated so that I don't have any white or really sort of the darker pink streaks just randomly placed, if that makes sense. And I've got just enough left for her torso. So just a thin layer of glue and then stick. And then I take my little scissors. They're from Kaiser Craft. They're just little sharp fussy cutting scissors, and I'll trim off the excess. Oh, first I'm using my giant, that looks a bit scary, but I'm being careful. I'm just trimming off all the excess, just makes it a bit easier to go in with my fussy cutting scissors now. And I'm just using the edge and sort of angling that underneath the edge of the cut file there and trimming off that excess. And this is a bit of a process. It does take a bit of time, but I quite enjoy it. I'll often do a few in front of the TV and sort of make a little session of it. So there we go, she's all backed. I love the colours in this. I think I used the paper pad for most of the rest of her, the same Rosie Studio Make a Splash paper pad, and I've used purples and blues and greens. And there you can see I just used her face, negative space, sort of cut out from the cut file to make sure that her eyes and nose and mouth were all in the right place so they didn't look weird. And now I'm going to start layering up my photo. I've super sped through most of this because it does take me a while to layer photos, especially when I do quite a few layers like I have done with this one. So this paper pad is not the same collection, but it is by Rosie Studio. It's an older collection. I don't know the name of it, unfortunately, but it's lots of those same colours I want to use. Teals and purples and pinks and whatnot. So I use that marble paper for my first layer, and I put a thin white border around first, then the marble paper. Now I'm going to use this pink. Oh, it's gorgeous, this paper. It's pink with gold foil scallops, scales, same as the pattern on the background paper. So these two collections go together really nicely. And I'm just going to start building up some messy layers. And I'm going to go in with my little fussy cutting scissors and distress the edges of all my photos or all my layers. I don't have an edge distresser. I've never really felt the need to have one. My scissors work just fine, and I've never cut myself. I'm pretty careful when I'm doing it, so I think if you've got a small pair of scissors, then yeah, it's pretty easy and safe as long as you're careful. So now a bit of a lighter green. This is really pretty aqua, minty aqua colour. It has florals on it, but you can't tell when you're just using it as a photo mat like this. And my last layer will be a little bit of purple. So I did speed this up, but it is still taking quite a while. So while we're waiting, I will just let you know to go check out the shop. I'll leave the link to the shop and the Facebook group in the description box. There are hundreds of just absolutely stunning, gorgeous cut files for a really reasonable price. So I definitely encourage you to go check that out if you love cut files. Okay, now here's the fun part. So I'm just taking my pencil and I've got my mermaid on the page exactly where I want her, and I am just lining the outer edge of her tail. So you may notice that I haven't backed the scaly part of her tail, and that is because I'm going to do something really cool. So I'm taking some sequins. I've got a teal, a iridescent blue, a sort of color changing purple blue. It shifts between the two colors depending on the light, and a holographic gold, which is absolutely stunning. And I am going to layer these, well, not layer them, I'm going to glue them all over the paper behind her tail. So I'm not making a shaker. It's kind of like a faux shaker, but this is good if you want sequins all over the place without sort of settling in one spot, if that makes sense. You'll see what it looks like when it's finished. It looks absolutely stunning. So I'm just popping down a spot of glue and then layering them. Well, I keep saying layering. Laying them all out like that, all one beside the other, and the effect is just absolutely stunning. Okay, I've just glued my cut file down. You will have noticed I popped her up on foam as well. And now I'm just going to add a border to my page. I'm just trimming off a little bit of the outer edge, and then I'm going to pop a border on. So I had to pop the rest of the cut file up on foam because those sequins are quite dimensional, and there's no way you could have stuck the rest of the cut file straight to the page. And you guys know I love popping my cut files up on adhesive foam anyway, just lots of beautiful dimension. So I like this navy colour. I wanted a navy. I didn't really care what pattern it was. You can't really see the pattern by the time I've stuck it down, so I've just gutted that paper, taken the inner portion out, and adhered it down. There we go. This is pretty much where my photo is going to go. I'm just moving that tail a bit so I can, yep, look at those sequins, so sparkly. Yep, just so I can tuck my photo into that spot. And the tail is overlapping a part of the photo that doesn't really show anything important anyway. So I'll pop the rest of my photo up on foam so it's at that same level. There we go. And then just a bit of glue behind the tail, just covering up a bit of her blanket there. I do pull in that mint tag, but it doesn't stay. All right, on to my title. These are the LAX or LAX thickers. I just picked them up recently, and they're a beautiful blue glitter, and I thought they were perfect for this layout. So I'm just lining them up and spelling out the word mermaid. Now I am taking the top of this, the M, you can see I peeled most of those layers of chipboard away so that it can overlap the cut file there, because otherwise it was just sitting at a weird angle. And then I spelled out little with the Sunny thickers, and they're a white glitter foam. They're really, really pretty. Can't have too much glitter. So now I'm going through and embellishing, and this is the Make a Splash from Rosie Studio die cut set, or ephemera set, and it's the same collection as the paper pad that I used. The 12 by 12 paper pad I used. I'm just going through and making a few clusters. I'm going to have 3 main clusters, one below the tail there, one just above my title, and then one to the top right of my photo. I'm just playing with some of the shells and the colours. I want everything to be visible on that background, so I tried a few sort of lighter coloured ephemera pieces, but they just sort of faded into that pale pastel background. Love that narwhal. Narwhal? Narwhal. How do you say it? Let me know in the comments. But he's super cute. Just putting a few shells down the bottom here. I think I do end up with a jellyfish. Yep, that moves down to that bottom cluster eventually. I love this turtle. I had to find a spot for him. Oh, I just love this collection so much. It's so sweet. There we go. Move the jellyfish. And I will move this little, it says salty kisses and starfish wishes. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. And I'm just going to trim it a little bit and lay it over the top of my photo there. So it's not really a cluster. I think I add one more thing on that side. Yeah. I don't always follow the have to have 3 clusters. Go, just filling this one out a bit more. I love that little seahorse. Love all the little critters and the little starfish in this collection. They're so sweet. Putting a little sentiment. I think it says mermaid hair or something like that. Something about mermaids had to go there. A few more shells. I love these little fish. And then another sentiment below my title there. And starting on my journaling. So I've cut that into strips. And I've just popped my date at the bottom there, below that little sentiment and my title. And the rest I'm going to trim down to fit into this little gap here below my photo in between the cut file. So that's kind of why I left it empty. I had an idea that that's where my journaling would go. And it fits in there really nicely. And now I'm going to start gluing. So I'm just starting from the bottom up and working my way to the top. A little bit of glue. And that's it really. I'm not going to make you watch all of it, just this one little cluster. There we go. And then what am I doing now? Oh, yeah, I'm putting a bit of twine in my tag. This is a metallic gold embroidery floss, and to be honest, it's a mega pain in the butt. It's really stiff, it's not flexible. As soon as you cut it, it frays into all its individual bits and pieces, like you can see here. I'm really struggling to get that through the hole, but I get there in the end with the help of my trusty tweezers. And then I'm just going to trim the ends a little bit shorter. There we go. And then I will go in with a little bit of wet glue just behind it to, yeah, pop that all together, because those ends do completely fray apart. And I've just put a bottle of ink on top to keep that flat for a second. Adding in this extra cute little fish, and then some sequins. So I have these really cute little sparkly floral sequins. So I'm popping in just a few of those in a few places around my layout. And that will be it. So I really hope you enjoyed joining me today. I love how this layout turned out. It's so sweet and whimsical for my little baby girl, and I'm just so happy with it. So thank you for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.